they say all men are created equal. Shot! Master! I'll pull out the Glock! Full of suffering, succotash, son!
It's one of your nuts hanging out of your shorts.
Real glass!
You have a father, but your father's dead.
Hello everyone and welcome to the All Out review. I'm back. Wow, what a weird 2 weeks it's been. I don't know why the camera is like going up and down. That is a bit crazy. But yeah, just have to obviously get that out of the way before we get into the review. I think Lucy ran through it when she did her review, which was fantastic and concise and perfect as always. I love her so much and I can't wait to be doing it together again. We are going to be doing the Dynamite review together next week. But yeah, the first week that we missed, we did the working class video. We had a really busy week. That week was my first week at my new job, so as you can imagine it was very overwhelming. So I was like, okay, I think one video is realistic. And then the second week we both died of the flu. And then this week, the Dynamite review, the reason Lucy did it alone was because she explained it was a 3-hour show. I didn't realise. I sat down, I was like, girl, what do you want to do? Do you want to film super late or just do it yourself or do it tomorrow? And she did it herself. And then today Lucy's commentating, I believe in Manchester, but I don't want to say for certain. Or maybe that was Saturday. I don't know, she's busy. She'd be busy. She'd be doing her job. So yeah, that's how it's kind of worked out this way. But I did want to just ask you guys like what you think about, like, because we take the mentality of we want to get the video out as fast as possible because algorithm and, you know, engagement in it and growth of the channel. But we always take that approach. So there's times in the past where we could film together, but it would mean that the video would go out a day later. So I just wondered what people would prefer. Like, would you prefer in the future to have us together but wait a bit longer, or would you just rather just have it out? But yeah, I don't know, because the reason I think we do push it out as fast as possible, even if it means we're doing it solo, is purely because of, well, not purely because, but we're of the mentality that our audience wants it fast, wants it now, they're expecting it, and we don't want to let you guys down. But also the algorithm. But it would be really interesting to know what you guys prefer. So yeah. All Out. That was a lot of wrestling. 5 freaking hours worth of wrestling. Oh my god. I mean, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I didn't watch it live. It aired, I believe, at like 8 p.m. UK time, which is really good because normally the shows go live at 1 a.m. and finish at about 5:30, 5 a.m. in the morning. So that's rough, especially when it's a Sunday night pay-per-view, but AEW tends to do Saturday. But I've heard that AEW said that they're going to try and do more of the pay-per-views starting earlier. I believe it like aired in the afternoon in America. So yeah, like late evening for us, like 7 p.m, 8 p.m, which is obviously more ideal. I wish I could have watched it live, but I was busy yesterday. I was out, so I'm a little bit hungover today. But yeah, I managed to pick it up today. I feel like it felt like a lot for me because I wanted to get this video out tonight, and like it's getting quite late. It's like 11 p.m. now, so I was like, oh my god, I need to watch it fast. So yeah, because normally I would either watch it live or space it out, you know. I'd watch an hour, have some food, watch another hour, do some chores, and it just kind of breaks it up for me. But yeah, it was intense, but I'm looking forward to breaking it down with you all. And going into it, I think the big thing for me was the fact that there was no Ospreay, no Omega, and no Swerve, and the card was really interesting. I thought very packed, but really interesting. And I was going into this pay-per-view thinking, what are we going to get? Like, what is it going to be like without these stars? Are we going to miss him? I mean, of course we miss him, but I think AEW isn't just one person. It's not just 2 people. It's not just 3 people. It has gone beyond that, and all across the card. There's a lot of star power, and everyone's putting in the work. Everyone's putting in 100%, and it shows. I think that's from like the morale backstage. I've heard a lot of talks of how like it's so much better than it used to be, and everyone is putting in 110%, whereas in the past I think it probably would have been a bit more obvious if we'd have lost these three. But now, and that's not to say like in the past people weren't trying, but I think it's a combination of like effort, but also getting the time on the card and also getting good storylines, because in the past, the prioritization was more the men's main event scene, maybe a bit of tag occasionally that went hot and cold, but yeah, really consistent throughout the board, and that pays off, when you get a pay-per-view. And the crowd, 13k, lovely, lovely stuff, very loud, very fun, having all out in Toronto, not Chicago. And yeah, I think that's all of it, like my prelude going into prologue going into the show. And also with Lucy's review, I did agree with like the majority of what she had to say. I think the only thing that I found a bit contentious was some of her predictions. But I feel like we always like have opposite predictions. I feel like Lucy is kind of more rooted in reality, and I kind of just, if when I'm predicting things, I'm like, well, this is what I'd want to happen, so it's gonna happen. I'm just gonna manifest this shit. But yeah, I did disagree with some of her predictions, but on the whole, I agreed with like a lot of what she had to say. So let's get into it. So to start with Danielson coming out, which I'm thoroughly enjoying Danielson as a mainstay of the commentary team. Oh my god, his voice was shot by the end though. Wow. But I love him. I love how, like Lucy said, referring back to the review, I think I'm going to refer back to a few of the things she said because I really agreed with it. The fact, like, his insights that he has a bit unorthodox, and it's not just the same thing, and that's not a discredit to the current commentary personnel's, Taj, Shivani, Excalibur, but it's just you do fall into those cliches. Even on this podcast, we probably fall into cliches and say the same things over and over again because it's just the pattern of speech that you get into. So, yeah, but I think he's really refreshing. He brings energy, he brings insight and passion, and just feels like a fan. And it's great. I absolutely love him. So it was lovely. He got his entrance. And then we began with Cope and Christian versus FTR, which I loved this match. Like, I'm trying to think what my match of the night would be. I'm not going to say this is my match of the night, but I feel like this would definitely be up there. And I was really excited to review this because I didn't forget about this match, but I do think the fact that it was on at the start was a bit of a shame. But also the perfect match placement. Like, yes, bringing out Cope and Christian to start with for the Toronto crowd just riled them up, and it was perfect. But it was a shame because it was a lot of fun, and it was 5 hours of wrestling. So, when all is said and done, a lot's happened between the first match to the last match. So, yeah, but I really, really, really enjoyed this. So to start with, we had Cope and Christian arriving, meeting a hockey legend called Clarky, or Cope was nicknaming him Clarky, and Bubbles, and then the Green Bastard. I'm sure this is really important to Canadian people, but as a British person, I'm just like, the fuck. I'm sure this is like, I don't know, if Will Ospreay was in London and he met Bradley Walsh, and then he fucking started talking to Paul Hollywood from the Great British Bake Off, or like Alison Hammond, and me saying this means nothing to you, just like Clarky and Bubbles mean nothing to me, but I'm happy for you guys, right? I'm happy for you. Yeah, and Christian, he was not playing along, he was not bantering, he was not buying into it. And then with the Green Bastard wrestler, he was like, Cup's like, he's an asshole, but he's mine, which, is quite endearing. Yeah, and as I say, I thought it was a great opening match choice. Really fired the crowd up, and I really, this match was just so fun, and I don't know why, in theory, the fantasy booking of FTR versus Cope and Christian is something we all knew was coming for a long time, and the idea of it really excited me, but then when it started playing out, I was like, I I don't know, like I'm not as hot for this as I thought I would be, but I think because I've had quite low expectations throughout this feud, I've just been like pleasantly surprised. Same with the FTR act, because I wasn't that into Stoke with FTR, but then because my expectations were low, I've just been pleasantly surprised and been really enjoying what they've been doing. I liked how this match blended moments of comedy and seriousness and edge. Lol, pun. Like edge, a bit gritty, a bit violent. It had that violent edge, which I think was definitely helped by the spot, which Lucy said in the review, where Dax had his nose broken, because I do think it was kind of missing that. Like, it just felt a bit too campy, a bit too corny, because of the nature of, well, like, Copeland in general is just a bit cheesy, isn't he? Like, he's just a really cheesy man. I don't know if it's like the WWE in him, but he's just pure cheese. And then FTR are quite like in their heel stick, quite campy, and then you've got Stokely, and then Christian's character is quite like a comedic heel. So I do think it was missing that tension and that anger, because it wasn't enough for FTR to be like, well, you cock blocked us backstage politicking, you know. So I do think that added a lot. But yeah, I really liked it, and it had moments of high drama, and it was a great match, and it stood apart. And that's one of the things I really enjoyed about this show, is a lot of the matches had varying stipulations. It was quite rare that we got a one-on-one big fight feel match. But I think that all the individual matches did really well individually at their certain stip or angle or dynamic that they were going for. You know, it wasn't very samey. It was long, but it was an easy watch, because there was a lot of violence, which wakes you the fuck up. But also, like, yeah, it was just well done. Everything was well done, and it was interesting. It wasn't just the same old, same old, same old. So I like that. Uh, yeah, I like Danielson's line of, you know, harkening back to Danielson and his insight. Toronto is a central character in this match, and he was basically saying, you know, if they were in a different city, maybe FTR would win, but Cope and Christian are fired up because they're in their hometown, and I love that. I love that idea of a city being a central character or a component of a match. I think that's really fucking cool. And then Shivani saying, can you get too fired up? So I think that was a really interesting, fun storyline throughout this match of, yeah, can you get too fired up? And they're old. Like, sit down, granddad, you know? Like, don't, calm down. Sometimes, like, especially Copeland, he gets very excitable, which I love for him because it means he's passionate, but also I'm like, yeah, you can get too fired up. I'd also add that Christian's viciousness is central, because, yeah, I wrote fight chicken shit with chicken shit, and what I mean by that is you've got a chicken shit heels in FTR, but then Copeland is very, I know he has his moments like with Spike and stuff, but he's very self-righteous, and he's a goody-goody, and he's a babyface. But then you've got Christian who will sink to those depths, so I think that's also a component for them potentially winning and going on to win the match, is that they've got that under their arsenal as well. So yes, pretty multi-layered stuff. Yeah, start with the match was slow, but the moves were big and impactful, lots of room to breathe. FTR cock blocking, the denial of the hot tag, they were cutting the ring in half. So Cope couldn't tag in until eventually he did, and that was really cathartic, giving the crowd what they want, and they were clamouring for it, and it just wasn't just a generic hot tag, it was a hot tag in his home city of Toronto. Toronto is the main character, as Danielson said. So yeah, and then I was pissing myself when they did the sharpshooter in stereo. I wrote a hitman's wet dream. Like, there's just something about them and their fanboyness for Bret the Hitman Hart that just absolutely pops me. Like, you just know they were like, oh, and then guys, we'll do 2 sharpshooters in stereo. Oh my god, like, it just really pops me that they are just the biggest fanboys of Bret. And then I like the comedy of FTR like slapping one another, trying to get them to not tap out. And then it was really innovative, Stokely pushing the ring apron in so that I believe it was Cash could grab onto the rope and break the hold. But yeah, I thought the match didn't lose its intensity throughout these comedic, campy elements. And I also really enjoyed Stokely in this. He wasn't just an annoying heel manager of just breaking up the fun, like when it gets really good and then the manager gets involved and you're like, oh, I know I'm meant to hate you and I know that's the point, but like, fuck off. Like, genuinely just fuck off. Like, you're ruining good wrestling. But I never felt that Stokely's interferences intruded on the match quality. I thought he aided it, which was really nice. Then we had the spear and the kill switch in tandem. The ref pulled out by Stokely. As I said, Stokely not a distraction but an amplifier. And then we get this music, this unusual music. And I'm thinking, I've been out of the loop for the past 2 weeks because obviously you watch it, but you're busy and you're not, I was going to say commentating, you're not podcasting on it. I remember even when I used to watch wrestling, I used to listen to Wrestle Talk primarily as my podcast of choice. I never felt like I watched the show until I watched the review. Like it just didn't go in fully. Like I need to study it. But yeah, obviously now I do my own and I talk about it and process it. But it's really weird. Like once you start getting into the routine of podcast watching or podcast creating and you don't do it for a few weeks, it just feels weird. So yeah, I was like, who is this? And then it was none other than Beth, who looked absolutely badass. Like she looked amazing. And yeah, she was able to deliver a really badass spear to Stokely. In ring, Cope and Christian tried to lock in a pin, but they weren't able to. And then we had Beth taking Stokely to the back, carrying him, carrying him on her shoulders. And we then had Cash delivering a powerbomb on Christian on the commentary desk. Very nasty. The spiked pile driver on Copeland, a super close 2 count. What the hell does that say? Ah, yeah, Cope when he was getting up and he was sort of measuring up a spear, but he received a nasty shatter machine instead, also very close. And then Cope able to lock in the spear and Christian sort of pins down, secures Dax for the win. I really liked this because it felt kind of unpredictable because you expect that with Beth running in, they're just going to get the win and it's going to be that simple. But then the fact that they didn't and the fact that the match didn't follow that sort of formulaic, not formulaic, but almost like predictable, like as wrestling fans, we kind of know what's coming and we kind of know pacings of matches, right? There's only so many ways you can do a match, and a match is almost like a piece of music, right? You have the intro, you have the big chorus of like the big moves, you have the bridge, and then you have the concluding part of the song, and it follows a natural rhythm. And when you get in sync with wrestling, you understand that rhythm and you know when you're in the final stretch, right? So yeah, I feel like it kind of defied expectations, this, but I think that added to the unpredictability and made it really, really fun. Um, yes, and we had Shayna wheeling Nick Wayne out, who looked like an evil villain. It was hilarious, just that visual of him smirking, being reeled out, reeled out. I mean, wheeled out. Jesus, wheeled out by his mother. And then we had FTR attacking Christian and Copeland, Kip Sabian handcuffing Copeland to the ring. Yeah, to the, what the hell do you call it? The ropes. I don't know why words are escaping me now. And Christian receiving a really gnarly spiked pile driver. Then we have this very sports entertainment-y spot, but I'm not mad at it, of Copeland telling Beth, you gotta go. And FTR are sort of stalking in the background like henchmen. And Beth kisses him and it's all very dramatic, and then she turns around and just starts firing off on FTR, which was epic. And then it was really shocking because they just delivered another spiked pile driver to her, which obviously we don't really see that much intergender stuff in AEW, so I feel like when we do, it feels really powerful. I'm like, oh, So yeah, it was really, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the match. I enjoyed the post fallout. I really enjoyed Beth's return, and I'm guessing because she came in ring here that she's gonna be wrestling. One would assume, right? I'm sure they addressed that in the media scrum, but I haven't had the time to properly look at it. But yeah, that's really cool if she's coming back because yeah, and she looked awesome to see how many years she's been out. I know it wasn't like a proper match, but she looked sick. She looked great. So I'm really excited for that and how she's going to present herself and what she's going to sort of be doing. Um, Great to see Nick Wayne back. I think he really adds a lot. Uh, he's very noticeable when he's gone. Like Lucy said, it's hard to kind of give a shit about Luchasaurus and um Kip Sabian. Like I don't know, it's just there's an aura gap. There's a difference in aura, unfortunately, and yeah, Nick Wayne has it, and they don't, not to the same extent. So yeah, really fun to have him back, and yeah, it's almost like yeah, they won the battle, but they didn't win the war, and Christian's stuff. They thought that they'd sorted out the skeletons in Christian's closet, and they can sort out Copeland's, and then you assume they're going to go on to the tag team titles and have that happy moment and walk into the sunset together. La la la. But yeah, that's not the case. And yeah, I don't know what the return's like on Nick Wayne, I don't know how long he's going to be out for, but it's fun. It's cool. And also with Jack Perry returning and reuniting with Luchasaurus, does that mean he's going to align with the matriarchy? But then it seems like they're a very face act, and Kip Sabian, Nick Wayne, and Shayna are very heel adjacent. So I wonder how those dynamics are going to play off each other, or whether that's just Luchasaurus and Jack Perry just la 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 walking off into the sunset together. I don't fucking know. But I guess it makes sense because if they're tagging together, then they can also interweave in because the long-term goal here, right, is Copeland and Christian go after the tag title. So if they're also competing for the tag titles, I don't know. I don't know. It's very interesting. But yeah, I like this a lot. And as I said at the start, I think it's a bit of a shame because I think a lot of people will have brushed over this. I'm presuming, I don't know, I haven't really been online that much. I've only seen some responses to some things, but not everything. So you guys will have to let me know your opinions. So next up, we had Eddie Kingston versus Big Bill, which I did see a bit online. People were very disappointed in this. People were disappointed, I think, in the way the match was put together, in Eddie Kingston was announced. I think we all kind of fantasy booked that Eddie Kingston would make a return earlier this year in like a Death Riders match and have this valiant, heroic babyface moment, but he didn't. And instead, this match was, we knew it was happening beforehand. We knew Eddie Kingston was going to be here, but because he wasn't actually showing up, he just accepted the challenge online. The build was quite lackluster. I think the positive for me is it was really nice to see Big Bill on a main event of a pay-per-view. I really like Big Bill. I think he's really charismatic, and yeah, I was happy to see him wrestle. I think that Eddie Kingston might have chosen himself to be in this position because I'd seen some interviews of him saying that he felt a lot of pressure for a return and that fans were expecting a lot from him, and he didn't know whether he was going to be good enough. So I think it's quite sad because a lot of people have really been dunking on like, oh, he's really rusty, and it's like, I think he purposefully put himself in this position so that people wouldn't put pressure on him, but naturally because people have excitement for him, they've put pressure on him and then are like dunking on him. So I feel quite bad for the guy. I can't lie, because I don't think this was that horrendous, to be honest with you. Like, I just had measured expectations. I was just happy to see Eddie Kingston back, and yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was, but I understand why people would feel some type of way about it. But let me talk about the match and maybe I can talk you round into appreciating it. So I liked how high energy it was, as to be expected. Eddie Kingston, he's returning. He's excitable, he's fired up, he's motivated. And I liked how this match wasn't just a squash match. Like, it wasn't Eddie Kingston come back and wiping the floor with Big Bill. Big Bill was also absorbing a lot of the damage, and it was more dynamic than a squash. Um, Big Bill was aggressive. Also, he had something to prove. But it was such a weird premise, wasn't it? Because it was like, I'm the best New Yorker. And it's like, we're not in fucking New York. I didn't get that. I didn't get that all. Did anyone get that? Let me know. Sound off in the comments. But yeah, the nature of the match being a war definitely played to Kingston's strengths and made sense that he would rather go through strife than have had a clean babyface return. He still has grit because I started deep in it and I was like, imagine if he had have come back as a, so I keep licking my lips, so dry, so dry. Yeah, if he had to come back, right, in fucking a Death Riders match and he saves the day, where does he go from there? Because I don't think it would have been catastrophic, but he would have been quite clean, babyface, and is that how he wants his character to be portrayed? Whereas with this, he's kind of underdoggy, gritty. He's had to fight through this match. It kind of has that Antonio Inoki sort of style that he's a big fan of, that strong style feel. That's Eddie Kingston through and through. Eddie Kingston isn't the guy that is like a Superman and saves the day. Eddie Kingston's like the anti-hero that there's a fight in a back alley and he comes in and he valiantly serves like some justice, but it's not as self-serving. I don't know if I'm just deep in it too much and trying to justify something that maybe isn't justifiable, but I feel like there was a degree of maybe feeling a bit insecure going into this match and maybe a degree of character protection. And I really like Big Bill, so I was happy to see him on the card. And so maybe that's why I'm able to justify it. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so we won with the back fist, which wasn't great because it didn't fully land. It just sort of grazed, but shit happens. It was an interesting win, I wrote. And then with Brian Keith beating on Kingston, lights out, Hook to zero reaction, which is a bit sad. But I don't know if I'd be making a racket either if I was there. I don't think that song helps. So bloody mopey. Tell the girls, and it's like alien music. Beep boop, beep beep boop. Tell the girls I'm back. I'm about to fall asleep. Like I said, we need a remix. Tell the girls, I'm back. I'm back. Do 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 do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I need some like, I'm falling asleep. And you've turned all the fucking lights off as well, and then it's tell the girls I'm back. I'm like, fucking hell. Anyway, I don't know why I have such heat with his theme. Sorry, yeah, fellow New Yorker. Why is that relevant? I don't know. But he helped Kingston out, and then they hugged, which was weird because it's like Hook's thing of leaving the opposites. I want to be my own man. I want to make my own way, but then he's aligning with Eddie Kingston, so it's like, are they going to tag team? Are they going to be a thing? Like, is this just Hook helping Kingston out? I mean, you'd assume on Dynamite or something they're going to team together and go against Big Bill and Brian Keith, but I just think it's weird. To be honest with you, I think I'd rather have had Hook join the Death Riders than Daniel Garcia. And I know I've said, like, oh, it's contradictory, he's gone from one team to another, but I'm like, I don't know. I just feel like he would have benefited more from it. Because, yeah, we need some judge. We need some judge. I don't want him in the Don Callis family. But, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. So next up, we had the tables and tacks match. Matt Brisco versus MJF, which was the first of a series of very violent matches. Also, what a great fucking feud. What an absolute amazing feud. And what a delight, like, to think where it came from, beefing about that tournament, beefing about the numbers they were going to pull in the casino gauntlet to now. They've done an absolute great job of stretching it out and keeping you know, they've kept it at 100 the whole time through. It hasn't dropped. And it's not a storyline that's about a belt. It's not a storyline that's, you know, it's personal and it's elevated Matt Briscoe, I think. I think a lot of people accuse MJF, people work with him, they're like, oh, well, they didn't come off as well afterwards, which, you know, I think is fair. I think there's examples of that, but then is that Max's fault? I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I think it's elevated Briscoe into like the lower part of maybe the main event scene. Like he's just heated up a bit rather than just being a mid-carder who loses all the time. And yeah, just I think it's been really, really, really good. I also loved MJF's entrance. I love that. I don't know what you'd call it, like raining cinders, like I don't know what the fuck you call it, but that's awesome, and that should be like a mainstay of his entrance because I love that. I'm obsessed. Remsburg with the PPE on with his fucking goggles. And then that got me thinking about health and safety, and I was like, why? Like, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? It's like, I get it, why he's wearing goggles, but like, it's like putting a plaster over a dam. The water's still gonna come through. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand like how the health and safety, because surely, right, America, I don't know, or Canada, surely they have health and safety regulations. In the UK, health and safety regulations are so strict, like in all aspects. All businesses, all workplaces have really strict health and safety, so I just don't really understand how wrestling works. Obviously there is like brutal death matches in the UK, so I don't get it. Like, because they must have to do some kind of risk assessments, but then how the fuck do you risk assess like a tables and tax match? Because like there were spots where they're taking bumps and the thumbtacks are flying up in the air, and I'm like, what if that like flew into someone's eye? Like, should the audience have the PPE? Like, should we all like have to get into like goggles and I don't a boiler suit? I don't know, but it just like, where do you draw the line? Oh, ref, stick on some goggles, boom, with sound. Or is it not even about that? Is that just to sell the match? Of like, oh, this is dangerous. I don't know. I don't know. It just cracked me up. Fucking PPE. Uh, PPE, right, is OTT. So I used to work in like sort of a cafe bagel shop, right? We used to have a coffee machine, like proper coffee machine. And I'll just press a button, like, no, your fucking coffee grinder, boom, steaming the milk. And at the end of the night, you had to clean the coffee machine, which was like, you just press a button and it'd run some water and some chemicals and shit. But we had PPE, which no one wore, by the way, but it was like a full-on apron and goggles, which is insane, right? But I'm like, yeah, that's what this was giving. It was giving bagel shop coffee machine PPE. Anyway, I'm hyperfixating on this. Move on. I really liked how Briscoe to start with, just no fucks given, pouring those tacks straight away out, and it was almost like the visual of drawing lines in the sand. I thought I loved it. I loved the way that looked. But Briscoe was the one to take the first power slam, and he was driven face first into the thumbtacks, and from there he got busted open the worst, I think, like the upper part of his head, and then he had like tacks in the back of his head throughout the entirety of the match. Also, what do we think of the live tweets? Because that reminded me, there was like a live tweet and it was like, Matt Briscoe wrestling with thumbtacks in the back of his head is the most Matt Briscoe thing ever. But yeah, what do we think about the tweets? Because like a lot of people I've seen don't like it because it reminds them of WWE back in the day, and it's just a bit cringy and a bit thirsty. A bit thirsty is the word I would use. But I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't like the graphic. Like, it's just like a floating square. I'm like, could we not have a strip on the bottom, like integrate it a bit more? It looks like a YouTube annotation or something. Do you remember in YouTube it'd have annotations, like clear squares you could click on? Like, just I don't know. I don't like it visually, but I don't know how I feel. I don't know how I feel about it. But Maybe they should have like a dedicated app because obviously like on Reddit and I'm assuming Discord probably has like groups you can join, but on Reddit there's a live stream thread, right? And people post as they're watching. But imagine if AEW had its own app and you could go on it and live stream it with other people and talk and like there could be like kind of like Discord, there could be like separate like sections for like different types of people. Like there could be like a women's section for women in the community or I don't know, like different like affinity groups. And there could be like a mega thread of like everyone just going crazy, but like it wouldn't just be across like different social medias. And then maybe like the best get highlighted on like a homepage. I don't know, I'm designing an app interface now. This is ridiculous, but yeah. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it basically. I feel like there has to be a better way. That's my conclusion. There has to be a better way to integrate live tweeting, live reactions into the the product, the TV product, the pay-per-view product. Yeah, and it was just mad the fact that the ring held no reprieve. There was nowhere to go, there was nowhere to run, there was nowhere to hide. You were eating shit. You were eating those thumbtacks, whether you liked it or not. Even the ref, when he was doing the count, had to do it slow because he couldn't like properly press drums, like he couldn't properly do it. So it was like, Jesus Christ. And even when they weren't taking spots, like even if you're pinning your opponent, you're still taking the damage of the tax, which is just absolutely insane. Um, yeah, when he shoved the tax in Briscoe's mouth and he punched him, dragging him on the tax. Uh, the nastiest, he had just the nastiest drops. It was really gnarly stuff, but it left me hopeful because I was like, okay, Briscoe's eating shit to start with. Hopefully, this is the time where Briscoe's going to get his redemption and he's going to get his win. Please, 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 please. Obviously, that happened. So, yeah, yeah. And then, yeah, the satisfaction when MJF takes his first bump on the tax hit a lot harder, I think. And it's like I'm a big MJF fan, as Lucy is too, but in that moment, I really wanted him to like take that bump, and that's how I know it's well done. Like when there's a heel that I really love, and even I'm like getting behind the face and cheering because out of the two of them, I do like MJF more, but I really wanted to see MJF get beat up, which just shows how great of a job both of the men did in delivering this match. Yeah, the tope to MJF, tables coming out, tacks everywhere, table spots, blood. It was filth. It was pure fucking filth, this match, and I loved it. For the sickos, baby. Briscoe, oh, that shot, man, where Briscoe's smiling, a bloodied smile, holding the thumbtack chair. Get that in the art gallery. Get that in the wrestling art gallery. Briscoe tombstone, pile driver on the chair. You know, that was not a good time. Jeff putting thumbtacks on the table, biting each other on the top row before the froggy bow through the table, which he delivered the froggy bow ×2. And then we had the J drill, which he's been trying to get on MJF for so long, and he finally secured it for the victory. So yeah, maybe this match was my match of the night. It was absolutely sick in the best possible way, and I think just the fact that Matt Briscoe finally got his victory was really profound and really amazing. And it was just, I've never seen anything like it, which is crazy because you watch so much wrestling throughout your life, and even Danielson was like, I've been in this industry for fucking ages and I've never seen that many thumbtacks. So it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Then we had Jerry Allin with Anthony Bowens and Max Caster, who were having a domestic. Clap if you care. Jerry Lynn trying to get them back together. And it's like, you have a tag match, whether you like it or not, next week. And if you don't come, you'll get suspended. And then they were both like, well, we don't care. We're just not going to go. We don't care about being suspended. So I don't care. I don't really love the Acclaimed apart, but I don't see what bringing them back together does. I think if they really wanted to, they could bump Anthony Bowens up and give him a more prominent position. He could have been inducted into the Callis family. He could have done this. He could have done that. He could have done all sorts of stuff, but they've chosen not to. And then they're like, oh, well, they're not getting over. And it's like, well, you're not really giving him much to do. And I just don't think, let's get the band back together. I just don't think it's like Jack Perry and Luchasaurus, right? Like, it's like, what can Jack Perry possibly do? He's joined a faction, he's tried to do this, he's tried to do that. The crowd are clamouring for him to be Jungle Boy Jack Perry and get with Luchasaurus, so it makes sense. It's not a forced thirsty reunion, whereas this just feels like, I just think, what the fuck? Like, it's just flip-floppy. It's and I don't really like the Acclaim that much anyways, but I don't think they've been given a proper chance to find their footing as individual wrestlers. Yeah, and I think it's just seems a bit shitty to just be like, oh, well, it's not working, put them back together. Maybe they want to be back together, but I just don't think they've done everything that could be done before they say this isn't working. It's giving Chris Statlander. It's giving Chris Statlander face and heel turns, and I don't like it. I don't like it. So we had the Hurt Syndicate versus the Gates of Agony, which was great to see. MVP got a great showing in this match. He wrestled quite prominently throughout it, and as Lucy said, to 2 points to Lucy, it's really nice to see MVP be active. He's not just a manager. He is an active part of the faction, and yeah, this match was a take or leave it kind of match. This is probably my least favourite match on the show. I feel like for a lot of people that's Eddie Kingston versus Big Bill, but for me that it was this match. Like, I just don't care. You know, it could have been a TV match. This wrestling match could have been an email. That's what it was giving for me. This match could have been a YouTube short. It could have been a highlight on YouTube. It's nice to see the Hurt Syndicate. It's nice to see Ricochet. I thought that the Gates of Agony and Ricochet looked a bit more unified in this, which was nice. Like, before, they're just kind of like his NPC henchmen, and they are still quite NPC-ish, but they're at least looking more part of his act, you know. And I think the attire helped, you know, not being in those weird waistcoaty things. Like, yeah, it just looked better. So, yeah. It was really funny as well when, I can't remember whether it was Shelton or Lashley, someone like propped up Ricochet and he goes, ah! It's really funny. It was the Spirit Gun with the assisted chop block from Bishop Khan for their team to get the pin on MVP, which I thought was fun because I think everyone thought that the Hurt Syndicate were a lock-in, but the way they went about it, like MVP being pinned, makes sense. You know, it's not going to harm the team that much. And also getting to see Bishop Khan and Ricochet work together, not only work together, but work together effectively and win. And it just kind of adds a bit of legitimacy. I thought it was well done, but it just, as far as the wrestling match went, it was just, it didn't really do much for me. Next up, we had Monet versus Riho for the TBS title. I put, just when you think Monet's done everything, there is more. It's like, how much more can this woman do? How many more matches can this woman put on? How many other different opponents can she fight? But it's just like an endless stream of great matches, great feuds, great opponents. And I really, really, really enjoyed this match. I thought it was very good, and similar to Cope and Christian, I think maybe got lost a bit in the shuffle, which is a shame. And I love these types of matches. If AEW old meets AEW new, it's very dream match-esque. And yeah, it's just great to see this is where we were, this is where we've come, but where we were was fucking awesome, and where we've come is fucking awesome. And it's just a great celebration, I think, just a great celebration of the legacy of AEW. Riho was on fire, as per old. I really like Danielson pointing out Mercedes has the strength advantage for once, which he doesn't normally have. But the payoff for that was that Riho had the speed and dexterity on her. Riho, the two consecutive foot stomps, one off the apron, one off the commentary desk. You know, she's such a petite little thing, but she she has impact. I know it's like most Joshi's, but I love that stomp as well because something about it kind of reminds me of, like Princess Peach, like in Super Smash Bros. Like that's what it's giving. It's giving Princess Peach in Super Smash Bros. Like gonna kick your ass coquettely, and I love that. Love that. Um, yeah, and I just thought this was really, really fun. They did a lot of cool submission holds, catching Riho in the apron, the Meteora off the commentary desk. Lots of fun innovation in this. They really wanted to do the most, and it also got a decent amount of time, which I think really, really helped the match. And these two really be able to dig into each other's move sets and style and the dynamic of strength versus speed, and Riho, you know, just really nearly getting there, but not being able to take the belt off Monet. And I love the way Monet wrestles because the longer she wrestles, the more she gets this point right where she gets pissed off. Like she gets like pissed off with her opponent. And she just like gets so frustrated that she like enters the next gear because she's almost like frustrated at the fact that it's like insulted at the fact that it's taken so long to put her opponent away. And we definitely got that side coming out with Riho. The boot to the throat of her was nasty. The sunset flip powerbomb, and then the knees to Riho for the 2 count. Really brutal moves, and the moneymaker for a really natural conclusion, I thought, and a really well paced match. I thought it ended at the perfect time. If it had gone on any longer than that, it'd been too long. But as I said, the length was just perfect. It wasn't too hot. It wasn't too cold. It was Goldilocks, just right, baby. Really great match. Really great match. And people seem to be sleeping on it. So, wiki wiki bitch, because that was some good shit. Next up, we have got the Freeway for the Unified Championship. Masquerada, Kazuchika Okada, and Konosuke Takeshita. So this was really, really, really good, and I thought it was awesome because, well, it was always going to be awesome, right? Takeshita versus Okada was always going to be that girl. It was always going to be that match, right? But I love this because the story was so clear from the start in that Takeshita and Okada crashing out over their egos, and Okada is the guy. He's, you know, made a name for himself in Japan over a number of years, come here, and he's got a level of prestige, and he's now in the Callis family, and he's sort of, you know, there's a bit of tension, a bit of passive aggressiveness between him and Takeshita. And Takeshita, he's entering his prime right now. I feel like he's in Japan, he's winning the G1, he's in AEW, he's in Mexico, he's doing this, he's doing that, right? But he hasn't surpassed the shadow of Okada. Everyone's like, he's going to be the next Okada, he's going to be the next Okada, but he isn't there yet. So that just writes itself. But then what made this great was that Masquerada was like, what about me? He was like, because I need a little controversy, because it feels so empty without me. Yeah, this looks like a job for me, so everybody just follow me. Like, that's what that was giving. It was giving Eminem without me. And Masquerada was just like, it was just funny because they'd be like beefing, and then he would just come in and like all of his crazy moves. And yeah, it was a great dynamic, and they told that story really well, really clearly, and you were just along for the ride. You were like, hell yeah, like I'd be along for the ride anyway, but I've got my seatbelt buckled, bitch. Like I am ready. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to race. I'm ready to go. The brain buster, Takeshita dropping Dorada on his head on the ramp. RIP everyone's necks all out because fuck me. Fuck me. Like, I feel like I was watching people get murdered at certain points. But yeah, the aggression between Takeshita and Okada is just a delight. And Dorada can move. How he can like do stuff so fast, I just don't understand because obviously his opponent has to be clued in to what he's doing to anticipate it, but he just makes it look so effortless, like it's all him, and it's just crazy. The double runner off the top rope to Takeshita and Okada. I kept laughing because Takeshita kept delivering moves and he just paused and be like, he looked really proud of himself. Like he'd do something horrendous, like dropping Dorada on the ramp, and then he'd just be like really proud, like really smug, like the cat that got the milk. It's just like, what the hell? Uh, the ending was really cool, really tense between Takeshita and Okada, and Okada's trying to lock in the Rainmaker, and it finds its target, kind of like a stray missile against Dorada. After the tense sequence with Takeshita, so Okada picked up the victory, which I did believe, and I think Lucy predicted that Takeshita could get it, which, I mean, as a Takeshita girl, I would love that. I would love for that to have been the case, but I did feel like Okada was gonna have the victory. But, I think this is more of a long-term thing, and maybe we get that payoff a bit down the line, a bit more tension, a bit more overt tension, because now they have to go back to playing nice and playing house in the Don Callis family, when really they want to murder each other. So that'll be fun watching those tensions. Oh, the fragility of the male ego, how fun it is to watch. Next up, we had Moxley versus Darby Allin. Uh, this was this was what you would expect. It was a coffin match. It was murder. This is murder. I laughed at the start because Moxley's coming out. He's doing his usual through the crowd entrance, and Marina just starts slapping the shit out of him. The first slap was like, okay, like you could tell that's what they're trying to do. She's trying to like fire him up, and the second slap, Moxley literally goes, ah, like it cracked me up. Like I think she did it a bit too hard. And then as Moxley's making his way to the ring, Darby comes out into the crowd and just starts attacking him. So we're off to the races. We had the coffin drop off the balcony bit, and that was horrendous because like Mox didn't really catch him, and Darby's head, like if you watch it, it literally bounces off the concrete. Disgusting. I really did not like it. The adrenaline of wrestling through these crowds must be insane. I wrote, like, to be fair, maybe I would be doing stuff like that because if I came out and I'm like brawling with someone and there's people shoving phones in my face and there's beer going everywhere and there's like the crowd people jeering, maybe I would do something crazy too. So, you know, can't judge. I also wrote the coffin looks so comfy. Like, it was really patterned and it was really nice. Like, like the decor, the outside, like the decoration of the coffin, first of all, was really pretty. Like the prop was nice and it looked very comfy. I was like, yeah, I could have a nap in there. Why not? We had Darby paying him and Mox into the coffin. They had Claudio, Garcia, Yuta, and Mox, but Mox shooed them off. So that was a bit pointless, I thought, but it's like, okay, I guess it's just to show Garcia's in the Death Riders, which I don't love. Like, I don't love it, to be honest with you. I think Daniel Garcia could have been fine if he chose to be heel or chose to do something else alone. I don't, yeah, I don't know, but I'm happy to see where it goes, and at least it's something different and something interesting. And I don't know, like with Death Riders 2.0, because obviously Pat came back tonight and we had Stat winning and she's affiliated with Yuta. It feels very much like a new era of the Death Riders, but I'm just like not that into it. Like, I don't know, I'm ready to close the chapter on the Death Riders. I really am. Sorry. Sorry for all the Death Riders lovers, if there's any of you out there, but it just, yeah. Yeah, but also I am hopeful that I will enjoy it. Like, I'm not going to hate on it, I'm not going to shit on it because it hasn't even gotten started. So we will see what this new iteration is like, but I hope it's not just more fucking interferences and post-match beatdowns. Like, I'm really bored of that. I hope it's a bit zhuzhed up, a bit something different. Like, maybe the cracks in Mox's leadership coming through, maybe some Yuta Wheeler development, maybe some splitting off within the faction, some infighting. Like, I just need something more. I hope it's not, oh, we've got new people, I'm going to do beatdowns. Like, I want to see Chris Statlander and Marina Shafir beef off. Like, and then you can tie that in because of the Willow and Marina Shafir drama. Like, I want to see some really interesting stuff because it's there. But the reason why I'm not like, oh my god, I'm so excited is because I just, like, the Death Riders of the Boy Who Cried Wolf, like, it's just edging, edging, and no relief. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll fucking see, right? That's all you can do. Um, Yeah, so he shooed him off, and then oh, that looked so nasty when Darby had his hand trapped in the coffin. Again, he got like an audible like you could tell. I was like, that looked fucking horrible. Um, I love the weird love and endearment Mox has for Darby. It's not enough for him to lose to him, but it's a really interesting dynamic that he's beating the shit out of him, but you can tell it's self-righteous and he really does believe in his message and he really does believe in that Darby has potential and could be more, which I think was kind of lost because that was always the crux of Mox's character and why he founded the Death Riders, but then he would fight people and it just felt empty and vapid. But with Darby there's genuine chemistry and it does genuinely feel like, and with Daniel Garcia, to be fair, like when he had his match with him, it did feel like he actually did want to kind of help save them in a cultish dictatorship way, right? Um, okay. So yeah, Darby, I believe it was the Forky Sporky. I'm trash. Punch her in the head of Mox because what is Mox without blood? The two things are synonymous. Someone had a sign, it was like, Darby and Mox don't bleed on me. Health and safety, honestly. They need like a big, like shield, like SeaWorld. Not that I'm endorsing SeaWorld, but those types of things. The fucking splash zone. You're in the splash zone. Oh my god, it's like 4D. Wrestling is like 4D cinema. Like, you know, like when the seat moves and stuff, because like they're like coming out into the crowd, and like, what if like blood goes on you or a thumbtack? That's 4D cinema, baby. The IMAX, 360 fucking IMAX, man. Um, but yeah, absolutely brutal. And then Darby proceeded to slam Mox's hands and stamp on them inside of the coffin for extra payback. Then he had a pipe. Just had a pipe. Then he was mutilating and biting the ear of Mox. Darby using the pipe to prevent being locked in, and then he used it to choke out Mox against his throat. I will say as well, like, this is obviously quite a violent match, and the thumbtacks match was, tables and tacks match was quite violent, but something I've seen a lot of people say was, there was something like about ticket pricing, I think it was. And AEW and Tony Khan were like, well, if you can't afford WWE, come to AEW, it's a family-friendly event. And then people online were like, well, it's not family-friendly, is it? Because this happens and that happens. And I'm like, how sheltered do you have to be? And you know what? Those people that are saying that, they were watching the Attitude Era when they were like 9 years old and like doing suck it at school and stuff. So I'm like, why are you fucking holier than thou? Fucking, oh my god, man, that really pissed me off. And they were like, well, your nana wouldn't enjoy it. And I was like, my nana would enjoy it, actually. My nana got me into pro wrestling, so fuck you. And it's just like, there's nothing like bringing a family together over a bit of violence. Like, what are you on about, man? Like, are you Amish? Like, what are you on about? Like, oh my god, man. Actually pissed me off. Obviously, people have different standards, right, of censorship and what is appropriate for a child, and I believe, like, you know your own children, your own family. Like, you don't need the state, you don't need the government to tell you that. And now we're getting to libertarian politics, but you don't need the state to tell you that, right? But like, it just like, really pissed me off because it's so obviously hypocritical. And with WWE, had these types of violent matches, you know the crowd there would eat that shit up because it's good. It's good, but it's just because it's not deemed as cool. And it kind of reminds me of when I was in school, right? I went to like a small town school, and because of that, there wasn't the jocks, the nerds, the goths, there wasn't that. There was just the cool kids and the uncool kids. It was that simple. Everyone wore the same jacket, everyone wore the same shoes, everyone did the same hair, everyone liked the same music. And if you differed even slightly, outcast, freak. Um, and that's what it feels like, just very closed-minded, small town breed small minds. Like it's just I don't know, I feel like I said a few things there and I don't know how to thread it together, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, why are you acting like you're too holier than thou for some thumbtacks and a coffin match? Grow up. Grow up. Okay. Um yeah, then we had Danielson handing Darby a duffel bag with the plastic bag inside, which irritated me because I knew this was going to happen, but obviously I didn't review Dynamite with Lucy, so no one's probably going to believe me. They're going to be like, yeah, of course you thought it was going to happen. No, I genuinely did think this was going to happen. This was my prediction and it came true. So yeah, he had the plastic bag and he was kicking his head with it on, and Danielson was absolutely foaming for it. He was like, oh yeah, get that plastic bag out, baby. It was incredible and very poetic, and you kind of thought that was going to be the match end because very, very climatic, very poetic. And then Pac came back, which I thought from the back, I thought he was like Wade Barrett. Like, I thought, who the fuck is this? But yeah, I'm not sure about the haircut. I'm, I'm, I'm not against it being short. Not that I have ownership over Pac and his hair. He's his own man. But I think it could be styled a bit better. Like, I mean, to be fair though, it does suit the Death Riders. Like, it's shabby. It's like a shabby cut. It's just there is no cut to it though. It's just like his mum's cut his hair or something. Like just no fade, no layers, just vibes. Just vibes. But yeah, and I'm gonna need to adjust to it. It's like when Seamus back in the day had the mohawk and you would just I was disturbed. As a kid it really angered me. I was like, how dare he? How dare he do that? How dare he alter his appearance to his liking? Can he go back to the other haircut, please? Uh, no, but it was great to see him back, and he was ragdolling Darby, threw him over the top rope onto the coffin lid, and then put him in a body bag and in the coffin for the victory. So yeah, yeah. So even though Death Rider stuff, I'm cautious and I'm a bit worried because I don't hope for the best. I prepare for the worst with the Death Riders, but there is a lot of juicy stuff there and potential potential for things to be interesting and be fun going forward. So I feel like a lot of All Out was just me being like, well, let's see. But that's kind of been what it's been like. It's been a lot of reunions and like shock victories and people forming up together, and it's like, well, the proof will be in the pudding. Like, talk to me about it in a few months and I'll let you know what I think. But right now, all I can tell you about is Pac's terrible haircut because that's definitive and objective. So then we had Brisco and Friends, which, as I say, it's the last stragglers at a nightclub. That's what it was given. You're in Pop World, you're in like the cheesiest nightclub in your city with the stickiest floors and the cheapest like sours and corkies, fucking shots for like £1. And the lights come on. Mr. Brightside's just ended. I'm Mr. Brightside. And you're ready for your garlic bread, you're ready for your chips, and the conglomeration of there. That's what this is giving. Um, but yeah, uh, Briscoe wants three of the Dudley Palace family members, which was just ridiculous. It's like, dude, you just covered in tax. Like, no, like have a week off, bro. What the hell? What the hell? Then we had Harley pretending to pick at the thorn because Briscoe was like, oh, I've got a thorn in my side. And then Harley Cameron's like, pretend to to pick the fawn out, and then she like pretends to eat it. And I think it was either Roddy or Kyle, but I think it was Roddy like stopped her. And then she like proceeds to, anyway. It was so funny. So funny. She just the most charismatic woman with the most personality, and the stuff her and Stat have been doing has been quite fun. Like, what's it called? Harley and Stat do that, I think it's called, but they've been like doing some fun little little segments. So yeah, love that. And the conglomeration is back, baby. Woo, love that. I will be going to the conglomeration afters. Hell yeah. So next up, speaking of Chris Statlander, we had the women's four-way of Hater, Storm, Tekla, and Stat. The video package was fucking awesome. Like the editing, the narration of Tony Storm, it was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. Definitely one of the best video packages, dare I say, they've ever made. It was, you could say, timeless. So we had Yuta in Stat's corner and he's whispering something, he's telling her something. This match was spoiled for me, unfortunately. I went on Instagram during the night, like last night, I just clicked on Instagram. You know, when you just click on a social media app for like a bit of dopamine, not even because you want to go on there, but just like you just click on it. I just clicked on it and it was the grey picture she'd put up of her with the title, and I just clicked off and turned my phone off and was like, that's what you get for just clicking on a social media app for a quick fucking shot of dopamine. So yeah, I wish I hadn't have found that out, because seeing this live or watching this and not knowing, I think would have really added to it to me. But then because of that, I had more time to process it. Like, obviously it wasn't a shock when it happened, but I didn't like it. Like, I didn't like it from the moment I saw her win the title, but it's hard because I love Chris Statlander. I'm such a Chris Statlander girly, and she absolutely does deserve it. She is so hardworking. She is every direction they've fucked her character with. She's just taken it and worked hard, and she's incredible. But I think for me, the issue isn't, it's not necessarily Toni Storm losing the belt. It's the build for it is just weird. Like, it fell out of left field, and I get that that's part of the excitement, but I just think this could have just been done a bit better. That's all. I just think there could have been more consistency, more of a slower burn. Like, keep her apart from Toni Storm so it's not so obvious she's going to win the belt. You could have just done it better, in my opinion. But what's done is done. It's done. It's water under the bridge, and we're now under the age of Chris Statlander, which I just don't know what to think, what that's going to look like, what that's going to be like. But yeah, and I still think there's ways you can do, because before I had this whole fantasy booking thing of Toni Storm and Athena and Mercedes Monet, and it was going to end with Athena beating Toni Storm for the women's title. But like, I think you can still do that. Like, Tony can run it back with Monet in the future. Monet might have lost the majority of her belts by then, or Monet could win the women's title and Toni Storm could challenge Mercedes Monet in a long time to come. There's ways to weave things in and out, but it's just, it is a shame to lose Toni Storm, because she's such a big component. She's so powerful. She's such a great mascot, and Chris Statlander, as much as I love her, I'm like, how is she gonna handle that spot? Because those are big shoes to fill. And then I don't feel like they've really set her up well with how they fucked about her character. But it's just weird to me, because it's like they've done all the Yuta stuff, but rather than establish it clearly before, they're probably going to establish her motives, the Death Riders. She's obviously going to turn on fucking Harley Cameron and feud with Willow and stuff, but it's all going to come after she has the belt. It's like dating someone, right? It's like dating someone and they ask you to be their girlfriend quite fast, right? And you say yes, and you just think, oh, I'll just figure it out. Like, I don't know you really. Like, I barely know you, but we'll just figure it out when we get there. And it's like, could be fucking amazing, man. Could be greatest love story of all time. But also, crash and burn very, very fast. So I hate this is my fucking commentary cliche today, but we will see. That's all I can say about it. We'll see. So the match itself was a lot of fun. All four women are great. They played off each other really well. They've all got buckets of charisma, um, and the crowd are behind all of them. So yeah, we were off to the races. Absolute carnage to start with, bodies everywhere. Tekla was a real standout for me. I liked how she was brutally lashing Storm and Hayter with the belt. I thought she stole the show at the start of the match, to be honest with you. She had the crowd in the palm of her hand. And then Tony Storm's, I hate bugs, and then stomping on her was just hilarious. And I thought that it had a really natural flow. There was no moments of stasis, no moments of you know, of it being slowed down or just, when there's like people on the outside and they're sluggishly beating each other up and the people on the inside are in, there was none of that. It was just everyone at each other's throats. Really tight, really well planned, really, really well done. And we had the Saturday Night Fever on Tekla to the outside. I wrote, it's tense. It is tense, but it feels like a Tony win. Even though I knew that Tony was going to lose, it did feel like at that point, if I didn't know, it just felt like every other four-way or freeway that Tony's been in where, yeah, there's tension and, these girlies are going at it. I do think Jamie Hayter got lost in the shuffle a bit, though, like looking back on it and reading this. I didn't really write much for her, but yeah, it was the seatbelt pin with Stat able to steal the victory. So yeah, that seatbelt pin, it really, it can do wonders, guys. But yeah, she obviously took Wheeler Yuta's advice, and she's at the very least affiliated with the Death Riders. And then we had Harley Cameron coming out, despite the fact that Willow had warned her against getting close to Statlander. So yeah, it was like she's close to Harley Cameron and she's presenting his face, but is she going to go back to being heel because she's going to get caught up in the Death Rider stuff? I don't know. What's her reign going to look like? Who is she going to go against? Is she going to be transitional? I don't know. It feels like pretty spontaneous to me. Like they were just like, oh, we're gonna pull the trigger on this one. Clearly, though, they must have some kind of big visions for the Death Riders because it all interlinks, and so Tony seems to really want to go all in on Death Riders 2.0. So I'll assume more to TBA. Next up, we had the AEW Tag 4-Way Ladder Match with the Young Bucks, Jet Speed, Brodito, Josh Alexander, and Hetrosera. This was absolute fucking carnage. The Young Bucks buying their entrance back. Redemption tour, baby. I wrote the Stips have made this such an easy watch because they did for me. It really broke it down, and every match was dynamic and fun, as I said at the start, and chaotic. And there's nothing wrong with a one-on-one match, like for a belt. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But I thought it was great, and I feel like, I don't know, because like AEW pay-per-views don't really have an identity, it's just a name. But I feel like it would be good if like All Out was the chaotic one or the violent one. I mean, everyone is the chaotic and violent one, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it felt, but I feel like All Out kind of has always been like that. All Out has always kind of been like the darker, uglier twin of All In, right? So I guess it kind of always has sort of had that identity, but I do find it interesting how AEW is just like, pay-per-views are just titles alone. I'm not a huge fan though of like, I mean, sometimes it works like Blood and Guts and you get the Blood and Guts match, but in like WWE, when it would be like TLC, and then it would be like matches kind of forced into these violent TLC matches, but there's no real need for them. It's like the match is bending to the stip, whereas the stip should bend and accommodate the wrestling match. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. I mean, I love a theme, so if I was in charge, I'd be like, this is the All Out theme, and it's going to be construction and desolation, and there'd be like tape and smoke and like a crane on the ramp. Like that's how I'm picturing it all out. What else could I do? Dynasty, Regal, Royal. I can't even think of like any fucking pay-per-view. I can't think of any pay-per-view names now. What the hell? What the hell, bear? Double or Nothing, yeah, like that's like casino in it. They kind of do it with the graphics, but I just feel like they could do it more. You know, they need someone with like, they need someone to just tell them to spend money on shit that they don't need. Like, oh yes, we need a crane, we need a digger, we need men in hard hats standing on the ramp, pretending to dig, to really buy into it. I don't fucking know. Um, yes. Yes, yes, yes. So I love this match because I think ladder matches are usually quite twink adjacent, right? But this match was really fun because we had a lot of really strong fucking men. Like Brodita, Bandito and Brody King are both very, very strong. Hechicera, like it wasn't just twinks high flying. There was a lot of strength, which led to a lot of brutality, quite frankly. Brody King doing the Freeway German. Mike Bailey was on a mad one tonight. Mike Bailey's triangle moonsault onto the ladder. Bandito launching Hechicera onto the ladder. Lots of fun alliances building up and breaking down. Mike Bailey, this was horrible. The standing moonsault onto Hechicera, but it looked like he just shattered his leg. I would be very surprised if he's not injured from that because that was just ridiculous. Like he did not land hardly any of it on Hechicera and then got all caught up, and it just, oof. I was like, calm down, love, calm down. Mike Bailey then spiked through a ladder by Brody King. Bandito planted with the DDT on the ring apron, which he sold beautifully. I think I forgot to say as well that I really enjoyed during the Hurt Syndicate match. Ricochet and Gates Wagner did some really great selling during that, and I think I forgot to say that. But yeah, Kevin Knight on the ladder when he was lifted by all of them and he had to keep his balance, which he did a great job of, and then landing through the two tables. That was a really great spot and something that like required strength and balance on Kevin Knight's part because like I imagine that looks harder than it is. Like for Kevin Knight to be clean onto it and then to go through the two tables and hit them both. Like that's a lot of pressure. So well done. Well done, Kevin Knight. You did a great job at getting beaten up. Then Bandito doing a moonsault with the ladder. Health and safety. Health and safety, guys. To the Bucks. Brodito. The Brodito. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, so Bandito does the moonsault with the ladder to the Bucks. Brody King comes out and does a dive, and then Bandito reclaims the belt. I was just confused because I've put Brodito doing a moonsault, Brodito dive, and Brodito reclaim. They're just one. They're just one fucking entity to me. But yeah, great. And I'm really happy that they won because I think they deserve to be more than transitional champions. I think they're absolutely fabulous. I think they'll do great internationally, doing shows in Japan and Mexico alike. I think that there's still more legs in the act of the Bucks redemption tour. I know Lucy said like she could see him winning it, but I think that's like the payoff when they get the belt back, right? Like they really, I think they need to be heels and smart, smarmy whammy and all this stuff, but then I think they need to hit a new low and then they become face and then we get the redemption tour, but it's actually face and it's actually like them being sympathetic. That's where I think we're going with it, but yeah, I'm really happy for Brodita. I think they deserve it. And then we had Jack Perry. Jack, I told you as well he was the one resuscitating Luchasaurus. I told you guys. But yes, Jack Perry is back. Oh my god. I've never been happier to see him. Like, oh my god, it's been way too long. Jesus Christ. So yeah, he comes back and starts attacking the Young Bucks. Rocky Romero comes in. The Young Bucks are able to deliver, deliver a super kick to Jack Perry, which lays him out. The lights go out as they're setting up an EVP trigger. The video of Jack Perry plays. He's pulling someone out of the ground, and we see him resuscitating Luchasaurus, and who then appears in the ring, double choke slam to the Young Bucks, and then they hug it out, and then Jungle Boy by Baltimore plays. Oh my god, it was so cute. We just need Marco stunt, and the whole gang's playing together. At first, I thought it was Marco stunt. I'm like, is that who's pulling out the grave? Stunt. But no, I'm happy. Like, I think this could be a really great launching pad for Jack Perry because I think if he does split off and go solo again, maybe this time he can do it babyface because there isn't really like a lot of baby faces in the division. And yeah, I mean, the crowd have been clamoring like they want him to be Jungle Boy, they want to cheer for him. The heel stuff, I think it's not necessarily the heel stuff, but that character, and that character was related to a certain time in wrestling with CM Punk that we've all moved past now, so it doesn't hit the same that it used to. But yeah, I'm just really happy to see him back, to be honest with you, in any entity. And I think this could be a good launching pad for when he does go from tag division to mid card to main event. It's more natural. And yeah, yeah, it's just nice. It's just absolutely lovely. So yeah, but I wonder how it's going to work out with him and the matriarchy and Christian, because obviously Christian and Jack Perry have a lot of history together. So yeah, I'm interested to see how or if he's going to get interwoven, or if this is Luchasaurus and Jack Perry just going off and they are their own thing now. So we cut backstage and Shafia's demanding something to be filmed, and Mox is with Darby's coffin saying he loves him but he's misguided and he wants him to get the message. He's like a dad disciplining his son almost. Like a really fucked up way, like a dad beating up his son. I don't know, that's what this is giving. Like, I'm beating you up because I love you. Like, okay. But yeah, it was quite comedic because all the Death Riders go off in their pickup trucks, and Darby jumps out with a pipe and puts Mox in the body bag, and he's about to use the pipe on his head, which I was like, don't do that. I was like, don't hit him around the head with the pipe. And then he stops, and I was like, oh, thank God for that. And then he's getting out fucking fire, and he's setting fire to him. But yeah, that was very fun. And yes, obviously that is not the end, because it's like, who is going to write Mox off for good? Because that seems to be the theory of the internet. It's not even confirmed, but the theory of the internet is that Mox is going to at some point go on a vacation. Although the Mox vacation feels like when we were all like, and Chris Jericho's going to go on a Fozzy tour, and then he never went on a fucking Fozzy tour. But I mean, he is now, but like, yeah, you know what I mean? The Fozzy tour never happened. But yeah, I'd like to see some Darby and Daniel Garcia going at it as well. Like Daniel Garcia fighting on Mox's behalf. I think that'd be fun. And then Tony Khan has an announcement. We've missed that, haven't we? Tony Khan has a big announcement. What will it be? People think it might be a belt announcement. People think it might be the women's tag belts announced. I'm not too sure. People think it might be like some kind of like subscription service where you can watch like Ring of Honor, something along those lines, but we'll see. The main event now, Kyle Fletcher versus Hangman Adam Page. And I thought this match was really good because the steps were great, right? The steps were great, and the steps provided easy watching, but I was really ready for the big match, the big feel one-on-one match. I was really ready for it. So it felt really nice when it came around because we've had violence and we've had blood, we've had thumbtacks, tables, ladders, factions, four-ways. It was just absolute freaking madness. But yeah, I was about to die. Ah. But yeah, I was really ready for this match, and the dynamic between us is, I mean, first of all, it's just awesome to see Kyle Fletcher go for the world title. Like, you know, it's not his time yet. Let him cook. But Kyle Fletcher is the future. Cal Fletcher is the future. Cal Fletcher is going to carry AEW on his back one day. We all know that. Cal Fletcher is that guy. His aura knows no ends, and the future is very safe in his hands. But yeah, you knew he wasn't winning, but it was just enough to see him be placed on that part of the card. I also feel like because we had Stat winning, and that was kind of a bit of an upset, and Ricochet to an extent was a bit of an upset, and there was lots of returns, like Eddie Kingston and Jack Perry. And I think because of that, it did kind of add a bit of legitimacy, like, oh, well, Cal Fletcher could win maybe, because everything just feels a bit chaotic and a bit crazy. But yeah, I really liked this. I really liked how through Hangman, because he's a babyface champion, we get to have these heels going after him, and that's a totally different dynamic to John Moxley when he's a heel and the babyface is chasing the belt. It's a different dynamic, and you're more empathetic to the champion. You're rooting for him. You want them to win, whereas like when it's a heel champion, you kind of watch him with dread because at any point they could like like with Moxley, it was always, oh, well, someone could do a run in, or if MJF's champion, it's, oh, well, he could use the Dynamite Diamond Ring and he could cheat to win, whereas, Hangman's not going to do that, so it's a totally different vibe, and obviously it's so heel heavy right now that it's nice that the heels have got something to focus on, that being Hangman and the belt, because it's a bit awkward when heels going after heels, it can be a bit convoluted. So yeah, Fletcher came into this very, very vicious, and Hangman was also like fired up. He's a fighting champion, so we've got aggression, but with different textures, but both with the same goal of walking out their champion. Really nice, as I said, to have the big match feel, and really nice that Hangman has some like respect, and he's almost looking at Kyle sympathetically and as like a veteran and reflecting, remembering how he used to be and his struggles with emotional regulation. So I think that was nice because it never felt that deep. It wasn't like a blood feud, it was just Kyle Fletcher overconfident, cocky, and Hangman just putting him in his place basically. It was a cool dynamic. It's very methodical. Um, Fletcher setting up the table, and yeah, I really like, Lucy said this as well, but Kyle Fletcher isn't a chicken shit heel. He's not cowardly. He wants to hurt you. He wants to win. He's confident, but it's his arrogance that's his hubris rather than he doesn't have a backbone. And I think that's really, really, really refreshing to see. Because he could go down that route, especially since he's like modeling himself on Don Callis. He could easily go down that route, but the fact that he doesn't, and he seems to have some level of integrity because he doesn't doubt himself. He doesn't need to use other things. That's why he didn't need anyone at ringside, because his self-belief is so strong. He's not insecure. He's like the opposite of MJF. He's not insecure. He's just arrogant, delusionally arrogant, whereas MJF is insecurely arrogant. And I think that's really cool that you can have different heels in a company, but with totally different ring psychology and psyche. I think that's really, really cool. Yeah, then we had Hanger missing the Oriawara moonsault. Cal Fletcher able to do a missile drop kick, which sent him flying. And then the brainbuster through the timekeeper's table. And then we had that awful dead eye through the table. I hate the dead eye through the table. He did it to MJF. Forbidden Dawn, I hate it. It just, something about it makes me feel sick. Like, just, no. No, no, no. No. Also, this match was just Hangman breaking Cal Fletcher's neck, and Danielson just cringing on commentary. It was intense. Then we had the V trigger on Kyle, and we had callbacks to Osprey and Swerve, like their movesets interwoven. So that was lovely. That was lovely. It was like a real love letter to the fans and to those wrestlers, and just to AEW in general. I thought that was beautiful. And yeah, it was the Avalanche Deadeye with the buckshot for the win, which ended the pay-per-view on a feel-good high. And throughout all the chaos, it was like we have the anchor of Hangman, who is anchoring us and pushing us through. Like, yes, there's chaos, yes, there's Death Riders, yes, there's this, yes, there's that, but Hangman is the star. He's the shining light of beacon in all this chaos. Whereas before it was, things are moving forward and AEW 2.0, but then John Moxley, the champion, was kind of like this hanging, looming rain cloud. So it's really cool, this like the difference between those two things. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed the pay-per-view. I've seen people a lot of people be quite down on it, like, oh, it's like my least favorite pay-per-view, but I just had such a good time. And there's things where I'm questioning it, like start picking up the title, but I'm cautiously optimistic, so we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna rate the show. I'm kind of torn between a 9 and 9.5 because, like, I didn't really hate anything. Like, even the Eddie Kingston Big Bill match, like, I could justify it in my head, but then 9.5 feels really high. And I think rating without someone to bounce off is the worst part about doing the shows alone, because you just do not have any basis for what you're saying. But I'm like, I did quite enjoy everything. I really did enjoy everything. Like, and I don't hate start winning. I'm just like, where does that lead us? The Hurt Syndicate match wasn't incredible to me personally. I don't want to give it a 9.25 though either. That feels quite. I'm going to give it a 9.3. I'm going to be really awkward at 9.3 because. No, I'm going to give it a 9.4 actually. I'm going to give it a 9.4. I'm going to give it a 9.4 out of, but no, 9.325. I don't know. Lucy might be like, you can't do that. Can't do that. But I don't, I'm giving it a 9.325. Because I don't know. I don't know. Like, I did enjoy it, but it feels too hot or too cold, Like, a 9 is too low, and 9.5 is way too high, it feels like. But then I'm like, am I just being influenced by everyone else? But no, 9.325, whatever, feels good, because then that's taken into account that I do feel a bit weird about the start stuff, and the Hurt Syndicate match wasn't the greatest, and yeah, you're never going to get perfection though, are you? You're never going to get perfection, but you can get pretty damn close. But anyways, that was a late night ASMR style, because I've been quite like whispery. I've been not screaming, I feel like. Relaxed review of All Out. So thank you very much for joining us. Me, I should say. I'm not with Lucy. But yeah, we will be together on Thursday reviewing Dynamite, back to your regular programming, and I'm sure there'll be lots of fallout and lots of things to talk about then, and we can like talk about things because we haven't really talked about together, like Daniel Garcia joining the Death Riders and our opinions and our thoughts and feelings on certain things. So yes, thank you so much for watching, and yeah, that'll be that.
I must bid you adieu, goodbye, and good night, bad.
I wish you died in the womb!